check your email. You should have gotten an email from me on this. But if you've never fooled with EFT, you don't know what it is, we've only got 30 minutes, so we're not going to have time to give all the backstory now. It's something that you could Google and find out, or if you want to find out from me, if you go to lisaduke.net/EFT-training-video, there's an email where I give you guys kind of like a abridged version of the history of EFT. But basically, it was invented by a therapist who was combining people talking through their issues with using acupuncture points to calm the nervous system. So what that does is it kind of takes the feels true off the statement and allows you to almost get outside of your issue and kind of look at it from a third-party perspective. And when we do that, we start to realize, oh, a lot of these things that are running our lives right now are optional, not mandatory. So check that out. But I know a lot of you all came through via the ad, and the only reason you clicked on the ad is because you already knew EFT. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. So let's go into specifically EFT for weight loss. So my whole thesis is basically when we are overweight, it's because we're eating more than we need to be at our ideal body weight, at least in terms of calories. Now, sometimes there are other things going on, some of which we will get into, right? Like hormones, health issues, family, right? But in general, it is very hard to stay overweight if you are not eating enough to stay overweight. Now, if you're like I was, for those who don't know me, in 2020, I lost 50 pounds using a combination of the techniques that I now use with my clients. And I didn't feel like I was overeating, right? Like I ate healthier than the diet I was raised with. And my parents were college educated. They were fairly up on the idea that vegetables are a good idea and Twinkies probably should not be a major food group in your diet, right? Like we had ice cream, we had treats. But, you know, if this is sort of the Cheetos and Ho-Ho's level of nutrition, we were definitely well beyond that. But still, right, even though I didn't think I was overeating, it turns out that I was, and some of the wrong things and not taking hormones into consideration. So the question we ask ourselves is, okay, if I'm not hungry and I want to lose weight, why am I eating? And some of y'all are having lunch right now, which is totally allowed, but you know, take a moment to kind of check in with yourselves. Am I eating because it's lunchtime? Or am I not even really, and am I not even really hungry? Am I eating because I'm hungry? And again, there's some exceptions, right? If you're like, yo, if I don't eat now, I'm not going to get another chance to eat until 7 p.m. Okay, eat something, even if you're not hungry, right? But in general, this is a question I invite you all to ask yourselves as you're getting ready to put the food in the mouth. Am I hungry? If not, why am I eating this? And if you don't know, then sit with it for a few minutes and don't actually eat it. And woo, that'll come right up for you. You'll be like, oh, because I'm not really into this TV show, but I want to hang out with my family. I'm bored and restless. Or a lot of us are stress eaters, emotional eaters. And so that's what we're going to dive into today, right? Is one of those specific reasons, which is stress. And let me actually share my screen just for a second. It doesn't like for me to minimize Zoom when I'm recording a meeting, but I can drag it to the side. All right. So let me show y'all this, right? So if I'm not hungry and I want to lose weight, why am I eating? I have found in my work with women over 40 who are trying to lose weight, the answer is usually one of these issues, and I will zoom it in. Right? Last week, we talked about scarcity, the clean plate club, this sense of there's not enough food in the world. And even though I'm overweight and I'm not hungry, I must eat the food because reasons, right? So we really kind of dug into that. This week, we're going to talk about stress, which I put kind of up near the top because it tends to be a very mental issue. And I will say, right, it's pretty normal. If you're not stressed in today's society, tell us your secrets. You're probably not paying attention, and I salute you if that's the case. But for a lot of us, there's a lot of stress going on, and a lot of those circumstances are very real. A lot of the clients I talk to, they either are or they have been caretakers for relatives, maybe relatives that, they were not so much fun to live with when you were a kid, and now they're back in your house or back in your life and, stressing you out. Even if you don't have parents or in-laws, a lot of you have kids you're taking care of, and maybe they're teenagers, so they're getting into bigger trouble or they're pulling away. If you don't have kids, then maybe your boss kind of acts like a kid, right? There's a lot of people in the workplace that are really deep into emotional childhood, and that can be stressful, and the label on top of that, right? Like a lot of us have not really processed through and gotten over just 2020. Need I say more, right? So let's go back to my notes. So lots of reasons why we eat when we're not hungry. One for many of us is stress. Now, some of you are consciously aware and identify as, I'm a stress eater, I'm an emotional eater. So definitely this is your issue. But even if that's not you, stress is affecting our bodies and can keep us overweight even when we are doing all the right things, right? So even if it's not affecting what you put in your mouth, it's affecting what's going on inside your body. And we're going to get into the science just that much today. So I will say, if you're listening to me talk about this and stress is not your issue, I would encourage you to go ahead, follow along, right? We've only got like 22 more minutes. Do the EFT tapping anyway, because you will find it'll settle your nervous system. It'll be like a little, micro spa visit. So I think it'll make you feel better anyway. And it's good practice. The lady who taught me EFT always jokes that the hardest part about EFT is like remembering it exists and remembering to do it. So this is a great opportunity to do that. All right. So some misconceptions about stress. The number one thing that I hear from clients about stress, and this was kind of my philosophy too, is right, even if we know we're stressed, it's like stress is unavoidable because of the circumstances of my life, which are unchangeable. And there are two pieces I would like to kind of pull apart and challenge for you. If this is going to be kind of a brain breaker, but try to be open-minded and at least play with it a little bit, even if you don't buy it in the end. Free will is still a thing. But let's talk about these unchangeable circumstances. A lot of us feel like the only way to get away from stress or to reduce our stress at all is like to run away from home and go live on a mountaintop and, I don't know, meditate all day, right? Not realistic for most of us. But we are not necessarily trapped 100% by our circumstances the way we think we are. And by telling ourselves that we are, we're actually adding to the stress. We're not taking power over the percentage of the stress that we do actually have control over. So I will give you an example. You all, right, I'm doing the EFT, so you're probably aware I'm an EFT practitioner. I've been through the training for that. I'm also a life coach school certified life and weight coach. And the founder of the Life Coach School, Brooke, I think this is on her podcast, but she tells a story about when her kids were little. I think they're like 18 months apart. So they were both little at the same time. And she had this moment where she was sort of resenting the kids, like overwhelmed, stressed out, frustrated, too much going on. And so she just couldn't cope, right? So she had this moment where the kids were at the playground and she kind of realized, like, I could walk away, right? Like I could drop my kids at the fire station. I could walk away from them at the playground. And then as soon as she had that realization of like, technically, I don't have to deal with these children, she realized that she wanted to take care of her own kids. And as soon as you realize, like, it's not that I have to do this, it's that I'm choosing to. That shift in attitude takes you from being the victim of your circumstance to more empowered, right? Like, I'm going to choose to take care of my children. Some days I feel like it, some days I don't. but remembering that this is a choice, right? Same thing with your job. You could, and I'm not recommending this, but you could walk out the door right now and never go back. Now, that might have some financial consequences, that might affect your reputation, your relationship with your coworkers. But as soon as you realize, like, God is not making me be here, the law is not making me be here, I could walk away, I'm choosing not to, then you start to have a little more power over it. I'm choosing to be here because they pay me. And there are things about it that I like besides just the paycheck. I like my coworkers. It's a small commute, whatever it is, right? So that piece right there, just realizing you are choosing it, gives you some power over it and some relief from the stress that comes from being a victim. Second piece, you can gain additional power over it by choosing how you think about it, right? So a lot of the clients I talk to, yes, they have work to do, but they're doing that work with thoughts that are making them stressed out. I have a lot of perfectionists out there. I have to do this perfectly. I have to do this and make sure everybody likes me and is happy with me, all the people pleasers in the house. The way in which you're thinking about doing the work in and of itself is creating bonus stress that is 100% within your brain. So even if your life circumstances, you feel like I definitely can't get out of it, 100 out of 100 people would agree this is stressful. Let's not add like stress frosting on the existing stressed cake by making up other things to be stressed about, right? Everybody hates me. I'm doing it all wrong, whatever that is, right? They would have fired you by now if you were doing it all wrong and everybody hated you. So really looking at the mental chatter and the feelings with which we're doing the work and seeing if any of that is optional. The second piece, and this is one that I believed for the longest time in corporate, and I think it starts out kind of subconscious, but hopefully by us talking about it, some of you will go, ooh, I have that one. And this is the belief that doing it while stressed out is sort of part of my value add, right? My boss is amped up. So by me being amped up and managing that like frantic energy, matching that frantic energy, this is me showing that I care and like going above and beyond. And like, I understand that because I used to do that, but I would say question that and say, is this really true? Is me being stressed out about it really bringing anything to the table? Is it not, in fact, the opposite? Because think about, there's always that, and it's probably a dude. So there's that one dude in the office who's got his like feet up on the desk. He's totally chill. Maybe he's taking clients for golf, leaving early on a Friday, whatever it is. It's like, it's fine. It'll get taken care of. And you're like, the rage. But everybody loves that guy, right? So maybe he's doing it right. And there are options for how we hold ourselves and the feelings with which we're doing the work. And maybe it's actually the opposite. People like being around people who are chill. So that's something you can kind of play around with. Third point that we believe that I would say is not correct is we believe being stressed is inside my head and does not affect my body. And that has always been, not always, for a long, long time, hundreds of years, that has been the philosophy in Western society. If you want to get some insight into why that is, how that all developed, check out, I have a video on my YouTube channel, which is just lisaduke.net/YouTube. Will help you get straight to it. Or if you're on YouTube already, you should be able to Google Lisa Duke weight coaching and find it. If you can't find it, shoot me an email and I will hook you up. But there are historical reasons why we have pretended that the mind and the body are separate. But the fact of the matter is now they're starting to do the science to prove that is totally not the case. And it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Like our brain is inside, right? If this is my body and my brain is in there, how could it not be, right? Like it's obviously part, at least my brain. We can argue about mind, but the brain is for sure inside the body and is made by the body and is part of the body. So some interesting books, if you want to dive in on this topic, one that I just finished reading, so it's top of mind for me, is called When the Body Says No, and it's by Gabor Mate. He's an MD, so he is a traditionally trained physician, but really in that book, I will say it's kind of depressing. It's a little heavy. You might want to skip to the last chapter for the like, what should we do about it? Recommendations if it gets too heavy for you. But he is an MD, not a hippie, right? Like an actual medical doctor, and is really exploring these issues of what are the patterns of thought and behavior and emotion that manifest into some of these chronic conditions that kind of stump modern science. So super, super fascinating. I also had a client who was a hospice nurse, and she said the same thing, that right, so nurses are trained in the medical model. Officially, they're on team science, but if you get them all together, all these hospice nurses would say, oh yeah, there's kind of a pattern of behavior, of personality, right? They're breast cancer patients behave, not all, right? But a lot of them behave in similar ways. A lot of them have similar patterns of thinking. So this is the kind of thing that we're starting to see is true, and we're just exploring why. So what happens in our head does affect our body, including our weight. So let me show you 2 slides. All right, and I'm apparently going to act confused about how to do this every single time. Here we go. Now you're seeing all the things. My bad. All right. No, it's still not that. I need an assistant. Here we go. Number 1, stress response system. So this came from a program I am in. It's not a weight loss program, so don't rush out and buy it to solve your weight problems. It's really for people who have like mast cell activation POTS. It's called Heal with Tracy. So I don't tell you that to send you there. I just tell you that because I believe in citing your sources. And this is a recording. The doctor who's presenting, her name is Donnie Wilson. So she starts diving in to her understanding of how this works. So when we are stressed, we produce cortisol and adrenaline. My understanding is the adrenaline tends to be more short-term. The cortisol tends to be more long-term chronic stress. And then that cortisol, once it starts running through our system, is impacting our hormones, our digestion, our immune system, our nervous system. And specifically, the hormones, digestion, and immune system can affect leaky gut and, which is interesting, carbohydrate metabolism. So if any of you guys are like, I don't know what's going on with bread, I eat a sandwich, I gain 3 pounds, this may be part of what's going on. Let me show you another slide, another screenshot from this same program. Zoom in. Right, so we kind of showed how stress can lead to leaky gut, trouble metabolizing these refined carbohydrates, problems with the adrenals. So what does that do? We talked about hormones, digestion, immune system, nervous system. But what are the symptoms and issues that will arise out of each of those, right? So we see endocrine, low thyroid, weight gain, insulin resistance, some digestive issues, fatigue, anxiety, depression. So we could play with this so much more, but it's already 10 till. So let me pause there and see if we have a volunteer from the audience who would like to be coached. Not coached, my bad. We're doing EFT today. Oh, yay, Deb, you made it. I was very worried about you getting the link. I'm glad you made it. So if you would like to do some EFT live, specifically around stress, raise your hand. You can unmute yourself if it will let you. I see a hand up. I'm going to have Deb come on since I was talking to her anyway. So you will need to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable doing so, please also come on camera, not required. Oh, I think we just lost her. I can hear you. It just took your picture away.
Okay.
All right. So We got to do this kind of quick, but I think we can do enough to at least give you some relief. So tell me specifically about stress. Like, what are some of the things that are stressing you out? The thoughts that are about the stress. Tell me what's going on with stress.
um, uh, Grown children who still have stress in my life, and I'm still working, so there's stress there. I don't know.
Got it.
I've struggled with my weight my entire life.
Okay. So what about having grown children is stressful for you?
Um, I have my oldest son has some medical issues that he's
Mhm.
dealing with, and he's unable to work right now.
Okay.
And he has two children, so that is very stressful to me.
Okay. So him and I'm going to play dumb because
Mhm.
we're trying to get, so part of me is like a human and I empathize, but trying to really drill down into what it is because like we're sad that your oldest has medical issues and is unable to work and has, we may or may not be sad that he has children, but we understand the children are affected. But what is it about that specifically that is stressful for you? What is the concern?
Because I have no control over it at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Why is having no control over your adult son a problem?
It shouldn't be, but it is. There it is.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get it. So let's talk a little bit about still working. So, what's some of the work stress about?
Um, I, I deal with a lot of people at work, and some of my coworkers are helpful, and some are not so much. And some make our lives more difficult while we're there. Um, and I deal with families at work, so there's a lot of personalities and a lot of um, just a lot of stuff there.
Okay. So, what is challenging about lots of personalities? Because theoretically, somebody could find people having lots of personalities like fascinating and delightful, but I'm
Mhm.
guessing there's a little more to it than that. So, tell me about the personalities.
Um, there's people with unrealistic expectations.
Ah, in life or of you or
Both,
okay. So how is them being unrealistic a problem for you?
because I have to deal with their unrealistic expectations.
Okay, you have to deal with it. And why is that a problem?
Why is that a problem? It's because I don't agree with their issues. It's hard for me to empathize or sympathize or um, I don't know what I don't know how to describe it any better than that.
Yeah, you don't agree with their issues. Like you think these are fake problems?
Yes,
Okay. They just don't understand what a real problem is.
right.
Right. Because our problems are real problems. Other people's problems are BS.
Yes.
I get it. I get it. And then we've got the weight too. We could go into that, but I think we've got enough to play with. So if
Okay.
we talk just about the oldest son and not having control, and then the people at work with unrealistic expectations, what number on like a 0 is none? We assume it's not none, or you wouldn't be here, right? 10 is like the most stressful ever. What number would you rate your level of stress about those two issues right now?
Right now,
Mhm.
like 7.
Okay, so not end of the world, but not
Right.
the best, not your favorite.
Right.
All right, so let's play with it a little bit and just see. We only got like 5 minutes, but we might be able to shift it a little bit and get you a little bit of relief. So on the side of your hand, you can just kind of follow along and then repeat after me. And I will say, if I say anything and you're like, yeah, that's not it, just correct it with something that is true for you and move on. And for those of you that like, you're like, I wish my son was grown. Right? It's not your thing. Feel free to tap. You don't have to repeat the words if they don't resonate, but just the tapping, a lot of people find that calming. So on the side of your hand, even though I have no control over my adult son, I'm a good mom.
Am I supposed to repeat that?
Yes, please.
Even though I have no control over my adult son, I'm still a good mom.
Yeah. Top of the head. So my adult son is doing it wrong.
My adult son is doing it wrong.
Yep. And I have more experience at adulting than him.
I have more experience at adulting than him.
I could help him with this.
I could help him with this.
Why won't he listen to me?
Why won't he listen to me?
He was raised better than this.
He was raised better.
Yep. He should know better.
He should know better.
And this is on the collarbone. I taught him better than this.
I taught him better than this.
Yeah. And then from your nipples, if you kind of come down to the underwire, that's where this spot is. Grown men should not be out of work.
Grown men should not be out of work.
Yeah. And then this one on your bra, like my bra band is right here. So kind of right in the middle of it on the side. Grown men should provide for their children.
Grown men should provide for their children.
Yep. Inside the wrists. My son should be working.
My son should be working.
And he is not.
And he is not.
He's doing it wrong.
He's doing it wrong.
And I worry that maybe that means I did something wrong.
And it makes me worried that I did something wrong.
But I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong.
I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything wrong.
I did my better than my parents did with me.
I don't know about that one.
I did the best I could given what was going on.
I did the best I could.
Yeah. I did the best I could, and I hope that's enough.
I did the best I could, and I hope that's enough.
But clearly it's not because he's doing it wrong.
But clearly it's not because he's doing it wrong.
Yep. Men with kids should work.
Men with kids should work.
Adult children should listen to their adult moms.
I don't know if I believe that.
Okay. I wish he would listen to me.
I wish he would listen to me.
Yeah. I wish he would do what I tell him to do.
I wish he would do what I tell him to do.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
I've managed to keep a job.
I have managed to keep a job.
He should be able to keep a job too.
He should be able to keep a job too.
And I hate that I have no control.
And I hate that I have no control.
I want to fix this for him.
I want to fix this for him.
And while I'm willing to help, part of me knows he's an adult.
Part of me knows he's an adult.
And this is his journey.
And this is his journey.
And while I don't like it, he is allowed to do it wrong.
And while I don't like it, he is allowed to do it wrong.
Yeah. Hopefully he's learning something from this.
Hopefully he's learning something from this.
And maybe in the future he'll come to me for advice.
And maybe in the future he'll come to me for advice.
But in the meantime, I'm going to try to believe in him.
In the meantime, I'm going to try to believe in him.
Yeah, he's a good kid on some level. He'll figure it out.
He is a good kid. I won't even say on some level.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know him, but I believe you. Yeah, he'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he's not going to starve to death.
He's not going to starve to death.
And maybe this will teach him some lessons.
And maybe this will teach him some lessons.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
But either way, he's a good kid.
But either way, he's a good kid.
And good kids usually come from good moms.
And good kids usually come from good moms.
Yeah. So let's kind of pause right there. How the stress was at a 7. How high would you say it is right now?
I would say 5.
Okay. Yeah. So it's moving, and we didn't even get to the work thing. I told y'all 12:30. So if anybody needs to go, like, you're allowed, this is not mandatory, but I'm going to do one little quickie round on the work stuff. So on the side of your hand, repeat after me. Even though my clients have unrealistic expectations.
Even though my clients have unrealistic expectations.
I'm a good, what's your job?
I'm a teacher.
I'm a oh, oh like, God bless. All right. So by clients, we mean the parents, right?
The parents more than the children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So even though these parents have unrealistic expectations, I'm a good teacher.
Even though the parents have unrealistic expectations, I'm a good teacher.
Yeah. These parents have some unrealistic expectations.
These parents have some unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. These parents are kind of delusional.
These parents kind of delusional.
Yeah. It's a teaching degree, not a magic wand.
It's a teaching degree, not one.
Like a magic wand, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't fix this kid while wrangling how many 30 others.
It's a smaller class, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't fix their kid while wrangling all these others.
You can't fix their kid while wrangling all these others.
Yeah. I'm doing my best here.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah. I'm showing up when a lot of other people just aren't working.
I'm showing up when a lot of people aren't working.
Yeah. I'm showing up and dealing with their kid all day.
I'm showing up and dealing with their kid all day.
They have no idea what it's like here.
They have no idea what it's like here.
Yep. Their expectations are completely unrealistic.
Their expectations are completely unrealistic.
They've got some fake problems.
They've got some fake problems.
Yeah. I don't agree with their issues.
I don't agree with their issues.
They're making life difficult.
They're making life difficult.
Yeah. And part of me can understand that they want the best for their kid.
And part of me understands that they want the best for their kid.
Yeah, just like I want the best for my kid.
Just like I want the best for my kid.
But they don't have to be so annoying about it.
But they don't have to be so annoying about it.
They have some unrealistic expectations.
They have some unrealistic expectations.
And while I would like to meet their expectations,
and while I would like to meet their expectations
are unrealistic.
Their expectations are unrealistic.
Their delusions are not my fault.
Their delusions are not my fault.
And maybe they don't have to be my responsibility.
And maybe they don't have to be my responsibility.
Maybe they could just have their unrealistic expectations.
Maybe they could just have their unrealistic expectations.
And I could try to just be bemused.
And I could try to be bemused.
Yeah. Like, oh, how delightful that you think I have time for that.
Like, how delightful that you think I have time.
How delightful you think we have those kind of resources available here.
How delightful that you think we have those kind of resources here.
Perhaps you could talk to the school board or the administrators.
Perhaps you could talk to the school board or the administrators.
Yeah, because I'm not set up for whatever you're trying to get here.
Because I'm not set up for what you're trying to get here.
Yeah. So I love that you're trying to do right by your kid.
So I love that you're trying to do right by your kid.
Me too.
Me too.
And I'm trying to do right by your kid.
And I'm trying to do right by your kid.
Yep. We have that in common.
We have that in common.
We both want what's best for your kid.
We both want what's best for your kid.
Yeah. I love that you're engaged and you want to be involved.
I love that you're engaged and want to be involved.
And also, I can't do that.
And also, I can't do that.
Yeah. I wish I could.
Wish I could.
Would love to meet everyone's expectations.
Would love to meet everyone's expectations.
Unfortunately, my time and my resources are finite.
Unfortunately, my time and my resources are finite.
Yep. So I'm going to do the best I can.
So that I'm going to do the best that I can.
And I'm going to be okay with that.
I'm going to be okay with that.
I'm going to let myself off the hook for feeling like I need to meet their unrealistic expectations.
I'm going to let myself off the hook for having to meet their unrealistic expectations.
As long as I'm meeting my expectations, if that's possible, that's good enough.
As long as I'm meeting my expectations, that's good enough.
Yeah. So let's pause right there and tell me. So you said you were about at a 5 when we worked on some of the work stuff. Where would you say you are now?
Probably about the same. I think the work stuff is It's it's stressy.
Yeah, there's a little more to it. So, but 15 minutes from a 7 to a 5, a little bit of relief,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can kind of see if we had an whole hour in a session, we could get more into what specifically, what those expectations are. We could pull it apart and get some more kind of insight, not insult. I think the thing about having no control over your son, like that right there was kind of a surprise. So a lot of times as we start to take these things apart, we start to lower the stress level, we get some insight into what's really bothering us and a little bit of relief. So let me wrap up in the interest of time. Those of you who have not yet taken advantage of the opportunity to do a one-on-one Zoom for free with me that is not a sales call, I would love to invite you to do that. We'll go through those 13 S's and kind of see, and you may already know, you may be like, my number one thing is stress. I know that's where I need to work. It doesn't necessarily mean that the conversation won't be worthwhile to dig in and see, like, okay, what about, right? Just like what Deb had happened today, where she was able to see, oh, part of what's stressing me out about my son is that I don't have control. And then your rational brain can kick in and go like, okay, you can kind of work through some of that yourself once you get clarity on what's going on. So I would love to invite y'all to do that. The link, which I will include when I send out the replay, once I get that, it's not going to happen today because I've got an appointment this afternoon. But once I get that sent to you, I'll include the link. But if you're able to jot it down, it's just lisaduke.net/wow. WOW, because wow, like it's kind of a lot, right? Like an hour for free with a weight coach who's not going to push you really hard to buy something. So I would love to invite y'all to do that. I originally said I was only going to do it during October. And then I took a look at my schedule next week and it's like packed. I don't know what happened. Just like appointments plus life equals full schedule, which is a delightful problem to have. So I've extended it out until I think the 6th of November. If I'm seeing people are interested and there's not a lot of spots available, I may extend out a little bit beyond that, but it's not something I plan on doing for free forever. So if you would like to do that, please come on. If you have questions about the program, then we'll try to make sure to have some time at the end to talk about that. But we've been doing a couple of them and I think they've been helpful for folks. So that is available to y'all, no extra charge. And I would love to see, it's going to be just like this, right? Like same backdrop, but you'll get to talk. So lisaduke.net/WOW. And also there are, as of right now, spots open for next Tuesday. If you found this helpful, we're going to get into perimenopause, menopause, hormones, all that kind of stuff. So if you would like to learn about that, join me. I think the link for that, you can get to it from my website, which is lisaduke.net. I think the link is lisaduke.net/stop-overeating. I don't know. Just go to the website, lisaduke.net, and it's the one that says Stop Overeating with EFT. Go down to the calendar. You can schedule for the one next week, the week after. All of those are free, and we're going to do different topics. So, all right, I'm way over. I will see y'all next week or on your free one-on-ones.